Hi guys, how you all doing? Now you might be wondering why the heck I haven't done any video updates on my Porsche 911. Well, there's a reason for that. You see, late last year I started to notice a few problems with the car. Here's what happened. In September I bought a Porsche 911 996. I've done less than 1,500 miles on it since then, but I've noticed a couple of problems with it that I'm going to get checked out by the dealer I bought it from. So I'll run through them with you very quickly. Now the first one is a noise, a ticking sound coming from the engine bay. So I'll just pop the engine bay cover. I'll just open it up. I'll pull the mic towards it. Now, hopefully you can hear that ticking sound just a little bit. Now it doesn't go in time with the engine. Sometimes it increases in speed and it decreases in speed. And I've got a feeling, due to a bit of research, that it's something to do with a recirculation valve or solenoid which recirculates some of the fumes from the fuel tank round into the engine or something. Now if that is all that is, then it's no big problem. It can be easily fixed or just left alone. There is a slightly bigger problem and a more concerning noise coming from underneath the car, which is actually intermittent. It comes and goes. I'll see if I can get it to make the noise. Now, typical, this is the annoying thing when you're trying to take a car back to a dealer. You go show them a problem and then they can't recreate it and they're just like, your car's fine, and then 6 months later it just explodes. And I'm actually going to give you a cutaway of the sound which I recorded another time to send to the dealer, just in case they can't recreate it. And in a bit of research on the internet, I think it could be the dual mass flywheel. Now there's some other problems inside the car. Oh joy, owning a Porsche 911 996. It's full of worry. It's full of worry. So, another thing that's happened with the car is the air conditioning. Sometimes when I press a switch, you get a click sound and the engine revs rise and it's all fine. Press it off, a little click sound and the revs drop. Sometimes when you press this button, the click doesn't work, the switch coming on, the relay doesn't seem to engage straight away and it comes on a bit later, and that's irrelevant to the temperature that you set it at. So it's as though the relay, let's try it again. See, it's working now. Yeah. Typical, isn't it? That's working as well now. I'm about to take it to the blooming dealer. So we'll have to look into that. I think it's just the relay, should be nothing. Something else that I've noticed is the gear shift. So when I put the car into second gear, the shift is quite notchy. Occasionally you get a little bit of a graunch when you change, but it goes away as the engine and the gearbox warms up. That could just be a gear linkage. It could mean that it needs some new gearbox oil. It could, which could be a lot worse, mean that the car needs a new synchromesh for the second gear. And the final thing is this, and it's the worst problem of all. Horror of horrors. The air vent in there has come detached, so when you move it left and right, it doesn't do anything. So, obviously that is my major concern. Let's just check that the car's not making that rattly sound. No, it's not. It's not making the rattly sound. The dealer is going to think I'm insane. Anyway, I'm going to leave the car with them for a week so they get some time to actually drive it, see if they can recreate the noises, and then I'm going to find out what needs fixing and what doesn't. So I took the car to Porsche Craft in London and they actually had it for a while. They found out what some of the issues were. So the ticking was that recirculation valve that I mentioned and they replaced that. They checked out the air conditioning and regassed it and that all seemed fine. Then they looked into the rattling noise, that rumble from underneath the car. It wasn't the dual mass flywheel, which I thought it would be. Turns out it was actually linked to the notchy gear change. So eventually they took the car in, they took the gearbox out, they sent it away, and it got rebuilt. It needed a whole new second gear and synchromesh. The car was actually off the road for quite a while, but that's because I took the opportunity to do a few things to it while it was in the garage, as you'll see now. And I have to say that Porsche Craft have been very good to me, because while the gearbox was being done, I took the opportunity to have a couple of other things fixed on the car, which meant that I could just have them done with no labour costs at all, because obviously the car was already in the workshop. So here's the things that I had done, which are pretty cool actually. So while the gearbox was in bits, I thought, I know, why don't I have a limited slip differential fitted to it? So if we open this up, we'll see the original diff from the car. There it is. Whereas in the car now, I've got a wave track differential. On a normal differential, an open differential, it will send, well, basically the power goes to the path of least resistance. So you get around a corner, the outside tyre loads up, the inner one loses traction, and then all the power goes out through the wheel that has the least traction and gets spun away. But with a torque sensing diff, you don't get that. It goes the other way, it goes to the outside wheel to drive you around the corner. Now, the problem with normal torque sensing diffs like a Quaife is that if you lift one wheel off the floor, it reverts to being a normal differential. The wave truck though has a special little plate in it which manages to lock up both wheels even if one of them leaves the ground. So it's actually a slightly superior system and does work very well. Now, another thing that I had done to the car while it was in the workshop was to have the dual mass flywheel replaced. So this is the one that was in the car. It's actually in pretty decent condition, but I thought, do you know what, the car's in bits, let's just get this replaced, because they can go, because you've got a part that moves inside there which runs on springs, and over time it can get a bit loose and they can start making a clonking sound. And I basically thought, you know, there's no point having the car in the workshop, it all in bits, then having it back, then maybe a couple of years down the line paying to replace the flywheel, because the part was only 350 quid. If I had it replaced including labour, it was going to cost me, I don't know, about 1,200 quid. And that brings me on to the next thing, the clutch. So I thought the clutch would be fine on the car, but I had it replaced as a matter of caution. When you actually look at this clutch plate, it is done, it is at it, it's shagged. Look at this, the bolts are, that's a friction plate, the bolts are pretty much coming through it. It was toast. This was going to need replacing in the next 1,000 miles. The fact is, I got lucky, you know, I'd have had to pay to get this stuff replaced on my car, but I got it all done as part of the gearbox fix. Now, that's one of the things about buying a car from a dealer. Yeah, you do pay a premium in the beginning, but, you know, when things go wrong, you've got someone to look after you. I mean, I was talking thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds if I'd have had to pay for the fixes myself. Whew. So yeah, the car, 16 grand to buy new. I would have probably saved about 1,500 quid maybe buying privately. Yeah, I've got the peace of mind of that warranty and I've got all this stuff done. And now it's totally epic. As they say, every cloud has a silver lining. Though actually, when I drove back from filming that clip you've just seen, the car's radio decided to stop working. I don't know what it is with old cars. There's always some sort of problem with them. Though my 911 doesn't actually feel like an old car to drive anymore, and that's not just because it's had its whole gearbox fixed. There's another reason for that, and I'll explain that in an upcoming vlog. Until then, click on the video window to watch my vlog from when I bought the car, when I had its roof fixed after it was vandalised, and when I went to a dyno and saw how much power it had or didn't have left.